Coach Tom here, Stoked Metabolic Podcast. So happy as always to have you here with me and my little co-host Coda. He's happy to be here, and you know, I record these episodes every once in a while. Life tends to get in the way and I kind of lose my groove, I lose my flow, but I've been saying I'm going to get back consistent for a long time, and now's the time because I just feel inspired. I feel motivated. And why do I feel motivated? Well, I just came off the Run Disney Princess weekend, so I did 19.3 miles. I met a lot of you through there. I meet a lot of great people every Run Disney weekend, and if you're a new listener to the show, super excited to have you here. Make sure you either subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, wherever your listening choice is. If you want, leave me a 5-star review. Everybody, once a month, you know, I pick up those 5-star reviews, something that really speaks to my heart. So don't just 5-star and leave, but every month I like to give away 6 months of free coaching just because I have an amazing community. And fortunately, I've been blessed to help people with their fitness journeys, and it's something I love, it's something I'm passionate about, and that's what we're gonna talk about today. So if you're a new listener to the show, I'm gonna title this episode, Allow Me to Reintroduce Myself. That's for Jay-Z, you know, allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Hove. No, my name is Coach Tom. I'm a fitness coach, I'm a fitness enthusiast, I'm a lover of all things health and fitness, and also coffee right now. So I'm gonna start you know, if you're a first time listener here, I'm gonna start way back because I think it's very important for people to understand my journey. That way it can help them on their own. Gives you a real picture of who I am, how I got to where I am, where I want to go with it, and what vision I have for everybody in their fitness journey. So we can dive way back. You know, I was born in the Bronx, New York, way back when, but we'll start in Connecticut, and moved to Connecticut when I was in the 2nd grade, and never really found my groove, never found my clique, never found my posse, and that leads a young kid to you know, look for outlets and look for other things, and that obviously, as I got older, you know, turned into some bad things. I was an unhealthy eater, so I wasn't always the lean fitness coach you see today, and I love sharing this story, even though sometimes it gets me a little emotional, but I suffered from, you know, being called names, being bullied, being picked on. I was, I think, at my heaviest, I don't say at my worst, at my heaviest I was about 250 pounds, and you know, as a young kid, you go through a lot when you're overweight. You know, kids aren't nice. Kids, that comes from parenting, but kids just generally are not nice people. And maybe you raise your kids right, but not all kids are. So, you know, I had nicknames. If you're a first-time listener, I apologize because I do get a little vulgar on here, and I will drop some F-bombs. I'm not gonna just throw them in for the sake of throwing them in, but I do want to give you that caveat. And the reason I paused there to throw that disclaimer in, I got called a lot of names. I was called bitch tits. Bitch tits was my favorite. That was, you know, that one stuck with me, and I've lived with it, and it's turned into me loving training my pecs, hashtag glitter pecs, if you were with me at the Princess this weekend. But that's the one that really stuck with me and burned. I was that kid who didn't want to take his shirt off in the pool. I didn't want to go to the beach. I never wanted to, you know, do anything outside where my body would be exposed, or I'd have to take a shirt off, and that's really traumatic for a young kid. And from there, you know, get a little older, you turn 18, 19, and it wasn't just eating, it was the physical fitness stuff. Like, I was always the kid who couldn't do any push-ups in gym class. I was always the last one to finish the mile. Most kids fake sick on tests. I faked sick on the gym test, the National Fitness Cert days that Schwarzenegger used to put on. And, you know, it caused a lot of micro traumas, I guess, going on into my life. And it's definitely helped me, looking way back, build empathy along this journey. And, you know, I feel for people that are going through that. And luckily, people are a lot nicer. They're more cognizant of what they say now, or maybe just the people I surround myself with. But, you know, I got to the 16, 17, 18, and I started going down not the greatest path. I experimented with some things. I was a smoker for quite some bit, not of the legal stuff, and just I was a mess. I was a mess, and I walked a very, very dark path, not anything I'm proud of, not anything I'm bragging on, but I am proud about how far I've come from then. And 16, 17, 18, 19, all through those young 20s were a mess for me. More coffee. There's always time for more coffee breaks, especially when you're talking about your emotions and how you feel. But it was traumatic, and I had a great support system, great family. I don't blame anybody but myself, or lack of knowledge. But one day I got a wake-up call. I went out to, a girl I was seeing at the time. She was equally a mess in her own right, and she had a violent streak to herself, and she liked to pick fights and start problems. Well, I was standing in a bar one night, and the next thing I know, we're playing pool, and I get cracked over the back with a pool cue. And it was the first time I ever got a real ass whooping. 3 guys just pummeled the hell out of me. I mean, I was falling apart, bloody. It was scary. I was a mess, and that leads me how I got into fitness, which was for all the wrong reasons. So I made a commitment to myself. No one's ever going to pick on me again. I'm over this. I'm done. I'm sick of it. No one is ever going to beat me up again. And I signed up at a gym and realized I had no clue what the hell I was doing. So already a kid who lacked confidence, lacked any bit of confidence in myself at 22, 23 years old. And I walked into this place, and I'm surrounded by these large, intimidating men with bulging biceps and, just ripped physiques. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, I don't know what the hell to do. I'm so uncomfortable right now. And I'd go there, made a commitment to myself. I'd go and I'd walk on the treadmill for 20, 30 minutes, whatever it was. I'd watch Jeopardy while I was on the treadmill, and then I'd leave. And I kept telling myself, hey, the next day I'm gonna do that weight thing. And I'd walk, and I'd go on the treadmill again. And I'd walk, and I'd go on the treadmill again, and I'd watch. And I'd learn, and I'd watch, and I'd learn. But I never did. I never acted. And action is the key. So eventually, I did make my way out to the weights, and I realized that all that stuff, all that confidence I lacked was just something completely up here. So I'm out there, and I'm doing, I want to say it was a tricep extension. I don't know the guy's name, but I can remember his face, long ponytail, hat on, white hat. And he's like, hey man, what are you trying to work on? And I'm like, and if you're watching the video, you can see my face freeze up there. I froze up. I'm like, I don't know what I'm working on. He goes, this machine's, it's a cable machine. You're probably, the way it looks is you're probably trying to work on your triceps. And I was like, yeah, that's it. I'm like, that's on the arm, right? So I learned tricep extensions that day, and he showed me how to do them the right way, and I woke up sore, and I'm like, wow, that feels kind of good. And I was able to do a bunch, and I was able to get a bunch done. And I finally, like, for the first time, 22, 23 years old, I felt some sense of accomplishment. That's a little late in life for that, but it felt damn good. And from there on out, I just started studying, the people in the gym. What is that guy doing? I want a chest like him. I'm gonna do what he did. Obviously, I couldn't bench press 315 pounds, but I got on the bench press. I started doing those. And then I avoided legs at all costs for the longest time, but that's a story for another day. And I started to notice no changes in my physique, which was shocking to me. I'm like, I should be ripped by now. I've been coming here like 6 months, right? Change does not happen in 6 months, my friend. It doesn't happen in 3 months. It's the work you put in now pays off in a year. And I hope that message sticks with everybody. But I started to notice I got stronger. And I felt more confident. And I didn't want to miss days in the gym. And I'm like, wow. I went from somebody who really was fighting to put my foot in the door day one to somebody who is aching to get in here, and I don't want to miss a day. And this feels good. And it took a while for me to find that love of fitness, but when I did, I was like, I 100% went all in. So I started buying books. I started buying magazines. Arnold Schwarzenegger's new Encyclopedia of Modern Bodybuilding, I think is the name of it. Giant book, bought that. bought magazines, Men's Health, Men's Physique, Muscular Development. You name it, I had a stack. And I'd read through and I'd look at all these guys, and that's where, you start to go off the rails, because there's so much misinformation out there. And if you're a new listener, I really hope that's what this podcast does for you. And I hope it educates you, because there is so much misinformation out there. And after this coffee break, I will chime in on all that misinformation. But I started seeing all these things. Oh my God, this guy's in great shape. I need to buy those supplements he's advertising. Man, I spent all my 23-year-old, 24-year-old dollars on the next big supplements, or this piece of equipment that you must have, or an 8-minute abs video. Hated the 8-minute abs video. Still ridiculous to this day. But I just was like fully invested, and I knew nothing about nutrition. My body still wasn't changing. I mean, I looked a little meatier, I looked a little more built, but I still was fat. And it's okay to say that. I am not a person but I still looked in the mirror and I didn't love what I saw. So I realized, I need to keep going down this path if I want to create this vision of myself. So talked to one of the guys in the gym. His name is Josh, really great shape. I'm like, dude, how the hell do I get lean? He's like, chicken and broccoli, man, chicken and broccoli. I'm like, chicken and broccoli? Man, I never cooked so much chicken and broccoli after that. I was chicken and broccoli all day, every day, as many times a day as I could. And I noticed my physique start to change. So I ended up just, I was keto at the time. I didn't even realize, because I didn't know what keto was, but I lost a tremendous amount of weight. It ended up, coming into just me being in a calorie deficit, but I felt great. And I was like, I look great. And at that point I became an arrogant little prick. And I was walking around with my chest puffed out, and I'm like, well, I'm the big guy now, and I'm the chooch. And I was King Chooch. And it took my first injury. There's two moments. My first injury was a bicep tear, tore my distal tendon. So kind of a wake up call and say, you're not indestructible. You've come a long way, but you're not indestructible. And you might know a lot about this, but there's so much more knowledge out there for you. So if you really do love it, pursue that knowledge. So I went on, just again, more books, more reading, more learning. And the other part of that was, it was an extremely humbling experience the first time somebody came and asked me for advice. And I wasn't a professional at the time. I didn't know what to tell this person, but I knew once they asked me, I didn't want to shut the hell up. So I just started running my mouth. I'm like, you do this and this and this. And that's where, that fire really ignited, because I'm like, you know what? Outside of video games, this is the first thing I love talking about. To this day, if you ask me a question, over 15 years later, you ask me a question about fitness, you're probably going to want to punch me in the face, because I'm not going to shut up. And here we are, 13 minutes into this, and I'm not shutting up. I just start rambling, and I love it. And I'm like, I wonder if we could do anything with this. Can I turn it into a profession? Well, let's flash forward. It took me to 30 years old. I was working corporate logistics, supply chain logistics. I shipped stuff around the world, chemicals. At one point I shipped televisions and speakers for an entertainment company. Flavors and fragrances I shipped around. And I sat at a desk all day. And every single day, I'd wake up at 5 a.m., I'd go work out, and then I'd be miserable until the bell rang. And I'd want to go to sleep so that I could go hit the gym again in the morning, because I'm like, this is what I'm passionate about, right? This is what I should be doing. This is where my heart lies. This is it. And I kept on that hamster wheel until I was 30 years old. And it was St. Patrick's Day that year, and I went out with some friends, and I was just like, I'm not going in tomorrow. I'm like, what do you mean you're not going in? You're not gonna go? I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not happy. And it was like an epiphany I had, and I'm like, I'm 30 years old. I enjoy this. Why am I doing this? And I just, I called the boss up the next day, and I was like, hey, I'm not coming in. And like, oh, you need to take the day off? And I'm like, no, I'm not coming back. Why? Is everything okay? And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to live this life. I don't want to do this. And I think I'm in a place in my life where I'm ready to make a change and do something for me and be happy. So I quit, and I had no idea what the hell to do next. After that, luckily I had some money in the bank. I spent the next 6 months pursuing a certification, 3 months pursuing the certification, and I got this nice little paper certificate. I was a personal trainer. Yay me, go me. And no one hired me because I had no experience. I was 30 years old, and they all hired like 22-year-olds right off the street, fresh certifications, and the market was crowded. And I was really getting to my end, and I'm like, I gotta work again. Like, I can't just spend every day at the pool in the gym. I need to start coaching. I need to do this. I need to start training people, or I need to backpedal and follow, go back to where I don't want to go. So kick my ass into high gear, and I applied for a studio fitness job, and I was terrible at it for the first 3 months. I was coaching groups of 28 people at that location, and I didn't know how to use a stopwatch. I was bad at correcting people, and I just started like really doubting myself and a lot of self-sabotage in my head. And they gave me a 30-day notice, and they were like, if you don't get this in 30 days, like, we like you, but we gotta say goodbye. I was like, shit, this sucks, mind blown. And after that, I just started watching like I did. I'm like, what got you here? How did you get into shape in the first place? And I just started watching people and listening to the other coaches, and just copying everything they did. And I'm like, okay, you're killing it at this. I'm gonna do that. You're killing it at this. I'm gonna copy that. And I took the best of everyone, got rid of the worst, and turned it into my own thing. And once I did that, next thing I know, like, I'm filling the classes up. They were like, no, we're gonna keep you on board. Within a year and some change after that, I was given one of our new locations to run. I was the head coach there. That was awesome. Within a year of that, I was put in charge of the 2 studios our franchise owner had. And I was like, man, I love this. I don't just even love the coaching. I love the developing other coaches and helping them on that journey. We keep jumping ahead to today. I oversee 11 locations across the state of Florida. And it's pretty freaking awesome. I get to help coaches get better, and I get to help coaches develop themselves. And I've also got my business where, people come to me and it's not only the fitness thing. So I work fitness and nutrition. And that was born out of COVID. Like, the world shut down, my gym's all shut down, and I had to still make money. And I'm like, I gotta live. I've got a wife now, and I've got a son here. I got my little son Coda, and I gotta take care of these 2. So I gotta keep working. Like, I can't live off whatever the government was giving us, $250. So I started an online business, and that took off. So now I said, man, I'm not limited to these single locations where I can only impact a certain amount of lives. I can impact as many people as I can touch. As many people that watch this video, I can create impact in their lives. I can help somebody, get strong enough to play with their grandkids. I can help somebody finish their first half marathon, finish their first full marathon, and finish it feeling good and looking good at the end of the day. And I think that's what got me into it, is I just wanted to feel good and look good at the end of the day. And when you can unlock the keys, like the diet, the nutrition, the workouts, and the recovery, and you can get all of that working together, you're gonna not just feel better like in the gym, you're gonna look in the mirror every morning, you're gonna feel good about yourself, you're gonna feel confident, and you're gonna feel stronger, and you get sick less, and you sleep a little deeper, and you're just happier. The endorphins come out and they start to flow, and then you start to ramble like Coach Tom. And the online coaching just was mind blowing for me, because I had somebody up in like Canada reach out to me, and he was like, hey, I heard about you through here, and are you accepting new clients? And I was like, yeah, of course. The world was shut down for COVID. I was accepting anybody and everybody at that point in time. But I watched him transform, and then I started doing it with more people, and they're like, you know, you know what you're doing. I want to work with you. And I said, I don't know I know what I'm doing, but I also love what I'm doing. I love taking people on this journey, and it's a roller coaster. We don't always, you know, I try to be very transparent. We might not lose 10 pounds in 6 months. Why? Because you're going to build 10 pounds of muscle in that 6 months, but your body's going to transform. So we need to get away from your scale thinking, and we need to get away from you being a slave to the scale. And you know, we gain 10 pounds of muscle, we lose 10 pounds of fat. That's a 20-pound difference, baby. And you're gonna see it in the mirror. You're gonna look better. You're gonna feel better. You're not gonna struggle keeping up with your kids or picking up your grandson or your granddaughter. And at the end of the day, that's the real win for me. And that's why I do what I do. That's why I'm a fitness coach. That's why I'm a nutrition coach. That is why I will do this to the day I die, and I will take as many people on this journey as I can. And that's why I record this podcast, because I want, you know, even if we don't work one-on-one coaching and you're not in my program, I still want to be able to provide some impact that's gonna, it might just be you going into the gym tomorrow. If I can motivate one person to work out tomorrow, I did my job. If I can, you know, motivate one person to just try their first 5K, their first 10K, then I did my job. I've inspired and I've changed a life. So now you know, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Coach Tom, Stoked Metabolic Coaching. I'm gonna leave you all with that. I'm gonna thank you for being here. Again, leave a 5-star review on iTunes, Spotify, throw some comments in there, please. I will enter you to win 6 months free coaching. You can also enter at stokes.fit, www.stokes.fit. Enter there, we'll get you in. If you ever want a consultation, I'll put all these links down in the show notes. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening on Spotify, YouTube, share it, show some love. Again, I'll enter you to win the 6 months free coaching if you share, and make sure you subscribe on YouTube. As always, the more people that hear, that listen, the more people I get to impact, and that's what makes my day. I love you all, and I'll talk to you next time.